The Peugeot story. From the beginnings of an industrial saga in the Montbéliard region, to one of the most beautiful industrial businesses in France, the story of a family, of men and women, who will shape a territory, the image of a brand, with a roaring lion, which will conquer the world. The saw blade and the tool, birth of a lion. In 1819, Fritz Peugeot developed a new cold rolling process which consisted of tempering the steel before flattening it under pressure. That same year, he won the gold medal from the Society for the Encouragement of National Industry for the beauty of the saw, its superior quality and its low price. He also obtained a 15-year patent for this laminated saw. In 1839, Jules Peugeot, son of Jean-Pierre Peugeot, developed a laminating process that made it possible to thin the back of the saw. Thanks to this invention, cutting became faster. Peugeot saws conquered the world. On the strength of this success, Émile Peugeot began to think about giving the brand an image in 1847. The brothers chose the lion as their emblem. It was designed by Jules Blazer, a goldsmith in Montbéliard. The choice of the lion, although it evokes the coat of arms of Franche-Comté, is above all a reference to the qualities of their saw blade, speed, suppleness and bite. The arrow connotes the saw's speed of cutting. The design of the lion on an arrow, engraved on the saws since 1850, was registered at the Conservatoire National des Arts et Métiers in 1858. It symbolizes the brand and the success of the metallurgical industry. Timeline. 1810. Foundations of Peugeot companies. In 1805, Jean-Pierre and Jean-Frédéric Peugeot, the eldest sons of Jean-Pierre Peugeot, transformed Sucretet into a steelworks, relying on the hydraulic power of this former grain mill. In 1810, they created the company Peugeot Frères, becoming founders and then steelmakers. The rolled steels produced by Peugeot naturally found outlets, on the one hand in the watchmaking industry, which was very well known in Franche-Comté for the quality and diversity of its springs, and on the other hand in the tool industry with the saw blade, due to the quality of its rolling from 1819 onwards, and then due to its thin back profile in 1839. With these two products, the Peugeot company acquired an international reputation. At the same time, the younger brothers, Charles Christophe and Jean-Jacques Peugeot, inspired by one of their father's activities, created a mechanized cotton mill and, like their older brothers, founded a company in 1810, Peugeot Frères et Compagnie. 1840. First coffee grinder. From tools to household arts, there is only one step that Peugeot takes. Large cutlery came out of the workshop and found its place in the kitchen. Then the marque launched into the production of irons. Finally, to meet the ever-increasing demand, Peugeot developed its coffee grinder, to cut the beans into a homogeneous grind, without heating them up, so as not to alter the taste of the coffee. Produced since 1840, the Peugeot coffee grinder is the best illustration of the marque's know-how, the alliance between steel from Hérimoncourt and wood from Belchamp. As a countertop or tabletop object, its production quickly reached nearly 400,000 pieces per year. Thanks to the mastery of its manufacture, it was modified to grind cereals and sugar, and miniaturized to grind pepper. 1886. First cycle. On the 6th of June 1885, Armand Peugeot proposed to start manufacturing velocipedes in three formats. The large two-seater allowed him to offer a low price, the bicycle was equipped with 2 or 3 gears, and the single or two-seater tricycle completed the range. As usual, Peugeot is aiming for nothing less than excellence for the launch of this new production. To achieve the highest level of quality, Ernest Rigolot, considered to be one of the company's best technicians, was called upon. In 1886, the site chosen for the construction of the workshops was the Beaulieu factory. Next to the existing factory, 3 buildings were hastily constructed. It was already known that they would be too small. A 4th building was built at the beginning of 1887, but this did not stop the need for expansion. The 1889 Paris World's Fair revealed a growing craze and accelerated sales. The future of the cycle was assured. In terms of sales volume, the bicycle took precedence over other models. In 1890, it definitively acquired its letters of nobility within the brand, taking the name Lion Peugeot and stamped with the lion on an arrow. Soon, in France, people were no longer saying I have a bicycle but rather proudly I have a Peugeot. 1889. First car. The resounding success of the cycle is not an end in itself, but rather an invitation to go further. At a time when progress in motorization is clear, the idea of installing an engine on a cycle is self-evident. The research continues. Armand Peugeot entrusts Grossian Michaud with the development of the first Peugeot internal combustion engine. In just 4 years, he presented an engine that equaled those of the greatest, making Peugeot one of the world's leading car manufacturers. 1898. First car factory. As soon as the engine patent was registered in January 1896, Armand Peugeot took the opportunity to set up the Société Anonyme des Automobiles Peugeot. He developed the automobile on his own, leaving Eugène Peugeot with the already successful products, including the manufacture of cycles. Armand had a grand vision and launched the construction of the car factory in Audincourt. It would go down in history as the first factory in the world built by and for the automobile. It will be expanded to house the first body shop integrated into a car factory. The automotive world is in turmoil. In France, there are no less than 200 horseless carriage manufacturers. 1912. Creation of the Sochaux factory. The growing automobile business required more and more space and infrastructure. Robert joined forces with Louis Peugeot, who owned a fine foundry on the plains of the Allen, near Montbéliard. The Sochaux factory was built in 1912, and soon trucks were being manufactured there. The First World War brought the site's development to a halt, and it is still the oldest car factory still in operation today. As a sign of the renewal of generations, Robert Peugeot returned to car racing, a real advertising vector. Better still, he made it a real crucible for developing new technologies such as the Charlatan engine. But that's another story. 1929. 201 transition to mass production. Well prepared, it is with a confident step that Peugeot is moving into mass production. The 201 is a car that has left its mark on automotive history in more ways than one. The 201 is the result of long and meticulous reflection, the culmination of a design that will make the Sochaux site the most modern and most profitable of the late 1920s. The first essential part of its specifications was its cost. It had to be kept as low as possible in order to offer customers a vehicle at an accessible price. The 201 is a 4-seater saloon, simple and robust, modern but not extravagant, a worthy daughter of the Montbéliard region. Understudy since 1925, it was presented at the 1929 Paris Motor Show. Peugeot was right on target. Despite the crisis, Robert Peugeot can boast that while automobile production has fallen by 38% worldwide, Peugeot has increased its production by 35%. Its sales in France are up by 40%. Why this success? Because we made the 201 in Sochaux. That says it all. The 201, with its 26% margin, relegates far behind the top-of-the-range vehicles of the marque which only have a 6.5% margin, which is a shame when you think about it. The Grand Sochaux is definitely the jewel of the car factories in France. 1948. The miracle of the Sicilian Renaissance. Well versed in the exercise of adaptability to external hazards, betting on the advance of the Allies and the end of the war, Peugeot began, in 1944, to study a new vehicle. Unfortunately, the factories were emptied, and it was the company's engineers who went to find the looted machines, which were transferred throughout Western Europe. Although 70% of the machines were returned to the Montbéliard region, the stocks of raw materials could not be recovered. The factories also had to be rebuilt. The cost is high, forcing the company to borrow, but in doing so, Jean-Pierre Peugeot ensures the return to the forefront of French car manufacturers. The gamble may be risky but it pays off, and some even speak of the miracle of the Sochaux Renaissance. 1960. Hitting the runways of Africa, the internationalization of the brand. Since its beginnings, motor racing has been a formidable vector of communication for promoting a brand. The Great African Raids were born in 1953. This real test, which challenged both the endurance of the drivers and the strength of the vehicles, became the benchmark motorsport event. The marque's African importers registered a 403 and then took advantage of the release of the 404 to refine their vehicle preparation strategy. The injection engine provided the touch of power that had been missing until then. The success of the 404 was evident as early as 1961, the first of a long list of victories. With the arrival of the 504, the Peugeot brand took control. Saloon and coupe were to become real racing cars. The strategy paid off. The 504s, like lionesses, reigned over Africa. In 1975, Peugeot won a hat-trick of major African rallies. Once again, the victories followed one another. Robust and reliable, able to go anywhere, from the savannah to the wettest forests, the Peugeots earned a reputation on all 5 continents. What better way to support the marque's desire for internationalization than through motorsport? Exports are growing. Peugeot sells 40% of its production in 130 countries. But with a constraint that is constantly increasing, many states raise their customs tariffs to force manufacturers to set up factories. Thus, Peugeots are built in Australia, South Africa, and Argentina, with local assemblers. 1973. The first oil shock, Peugeot saves Citroën. At the end of 1973, the world was about to change. With the surge in oil prices, which rose by almost 400% in 2 months, a crisis began that put an end to the 30 glorious years. The economy is like that, made up of cycles. Nevertheless, the Société Anonyme des Automobiles Peugeot has all the cards in its hand to get through this crisis, which is causing the biggest companies in Europe to falter. First of all, a flagship product, the car. This individual mode of transport remains simple, practical and synonymous with escape. The market is not yet saturated, but for reasons of caution, sales volumes are being revised downwards. Then a wide range, from the 104 to the 604, allowing customers to choose according to their means and the possibility of going down market if they are forced to. A known, or rather, recognized quality, which has helped to sustain sales and, against all expectations, to increase sales abroad. Last but not least, the diesel engine. In addition to its lower consumption, it is also tax efficient. The governments of Europe are afraid of the transport lobby, so they are all introducing lower-priced diesel in order not to upset them. The game has to be played well. It was at this time that Citroën collapsed following a series of bad decisions taken at the worst possible moment. Michelin, owner of the brand with the chevrons, asked Peugeot for assistance. Competitors, but nevertheless friends, the two firms have been in business for a very long time. But Peugeot hesitated, at the risk of letting the French state intervene and seeing the creation of a Renault Citroën behemoth. The latter would crush the Lion brand. It had to be committed. On the 24th of June 1974, Peugeot saved Citroën and became a major national group. Then it will be Chrysler Europe's turn, this time with the ambition to give an international dimension to the new PSA Peugeot Citroën Group. 1983. A manufacturer shows its claws. The evolution of the company, and the crisis linked to the second oil crisis in 1979, forces Peugeot to refocus on its automobile division, which has grown considerably and which has meanwhile become the Group PSA. In 1983, Peugeot launched the 205. It was designed to meet ambitious specifications, lightness, aerodynamics, high-performance engines, compactness and maximum habitability. Its style is innovative and dynamic, far from the image of the small car. It is well designed, easy to build and offers a high level of quality. The model mix is upwardly oriented and generates margins comparable to medium-sized vehicles. Success was immediate. The range was completed with 3 and 5-door versions, a cabriolet and special series. Finally, the chic and very sporty GTI became a real icon. Its image was enhanced by its success in motorsport. The 205 T16 won the World Rally Championship in '85 and '86. It then won the Paris-Dakar Rally in '87 and '88. The 205 was to mark its decade and will forever remain a hell of a number. 1987. Launch of the 405. For the second time in its history, Peugeot won European Car of the Year in 1988 with the 405, its new family car. 1997. Launch of the 406 Coupe designed by Pininfarina. Its timeless design made it a collector's dream, and it was the first coupe built with a diesel engine. 1998. Launch of the 206, with 7,326,029 units produced. The 206 is a 3-time World Rally champion. Its CC version relaunched the convertible coupe, which was first introduced by Peugeot in 1934. 2016. Launch of the 3008. Praised for its style, interior design and features, the new Peugeot 3008 was voted Car of the Year 2017 by a jury of 58 European journalists. It was the first award-winning SUV since the creation of the award in 1964, and the 5th Peugeot to be named Car of the Year after the 308 in 2014, the 307 in 2002, the 405 in 1988 and the 504 in 1969. 2019. The Peugeot Partner was voted International Van of the Year 2019. It had 2 major innovations, the overload indicator and surround rear vision. The Peugeot Partner stood out because of its exclusive adoption within the segment of the Peugeot iCockpit, which offered a new driving experience for greater productivity. 2020. The new Peugeot 208 was named Car of the Year 2020. Chosen for its range of engines, the judges also praised it for its design and its technology. Peugeot was one of the top 3 brands with the most Car of the Year awards. 2021. The new face of Peugeot. The new 308, which bears the brand's new coat of arms, seduces with its sharp and sensual design, its advanced technology and its efficiency. Its range of engines, rich in 2 plug-in hybrids, offers customers the power to choose between thermal or electrified propulsion modes. The Peugeot 2008 is a subcompact crossover SUV produced by the French automaker Peugeot. Unveiled at the 2013 Geneva Motor Show and positioned below the 3008, the first 2008 replaced the Peugeot 207 SW, as Peugeot did not release an SW version of its 208.